I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed is a phrase you'll hear thrown around from time to time. I'm sure you've heard it multiple times. Today I'd like to flip that phrase on its head. I'm not disappointed, I'm mad. That's right, I'm a little angry. I'm a little mad at Nintendo and their latest Direct. For those of you who don't know, let me give some context behind this Direct and why it was so important. The week started off with the PlayStation State of Play, which happened to be one of PlayStation's best State of Plays, in my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinions. There's a bunch of great games revealed. And then the following day, we had the Summer Game Fest, which also had a bunch of great games revealed, like 2 new Cuphead games. That was crazy. A bunch of other great games as well. And then we had the Xbox Game Showcase, which was one of their best Xbox showcases since Xbox started doing this. And there's a lot of great games there. I mean, Xbox has been on an insane roll. And then there's also been a lot of indie game showcases here and there with a lot of great promising games. Now, Nintendo had their Direct today, June 9th. And they were supposed to be the delicious last course of this fantastic 5-star meal we gamers have been fed. And while Nintendo was standing there at the free throw line, ball in hand.
And Tony Parker, did he lose control? Or I tell you what, I don't know that I've ever seen that before in the NBA.
That's right, Nintendo stunk. It was bad. It was bad. I'll get into it in a sec. It's been 9 months since the last Nintendo Direct, and Nintendo's been quiet in those past 9 months. We've gotten a couple trailers for certain games here and there, a lot of updates from games, but nothing big. The biggest things we've gotten from Nintendo hasn't been from Nintendo themselves, it's been from leakers, which is not a good look for Nintendo, especially when all the leakers have been correct. So to say there was a lot riding on this Direct is an understatement. Nintendo has been kind of in the gutter recently. Their stock has been down, as well as they've raised the prices to the Switch 2. So, I'm not a business major or anything like that, but I'm pretty sure a 5-year-old could figure out that stock down, prices up is not good. So there's a lot riding on this Direct. Now, me and a bunch of other people weren't expecting too much from Nintendo, all right? We weren't expecting a new 3D Mario game, a new 3D Zelda game, new Smash Bros. We weren't expecting, the full 9 yards, but we were expecting something. Boy, were we wrong. We got basically diddly squat. It's one of the worst Directs of all time, especially this decade for sure. It's not a good look for Nintendo. Allow me to set the scene here, and don't worry, it won't take long. Out of the 50 minutes that was in Direct, we got around 4 new games and a bunch of third-party announcements. Out of those 4 games, I think the only one we didn't know about was the new Xenoblade game. And who really cares? Xenoblade has its audience, don't come after me, but in the grand scheme of things, after 9 months since the last Nintendo Direct, when their stock is in the gutter, why is Xenoblade the only new game we got told about? Now, I will say there was 2 other games I want to touch on that are technically new, but we did already know about them through leaks, and that was Nintendo Switch Sports Resort and then the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time remake. Both of those games were rumored and leaked, and here they are in the flesh. We know both of them are happening. So, Switch Sports Resort looks fine. It's another Nintendo Switch Sports game. I think it'll sell well. It'll probably do good. Now, Ocarina of Time I want to touch on because it looks really good. Out of the minute 30-second trailer we got, it looks great. The graphics look way better than I or anyone else expected, and the music sounds good. However, that was it. We didn't get any gameplay. It was some footage of Link sleeping in a bed. that was all we got, with some voice lines in the background. And then that game's coming out later this year. We don't know exactly, but it is 2026 release date. While I want to rewind a little bit, the Xenoblade game they announced, Xenoblade Genesis, that's coming out next year, and we got like 2.5 minutes of that. Story, gameplay, you name it, it was in that little Xenoblade trailer. So riddle me this, like why do we get more information about the Xenoblade game coming out next year, the game that is going to sell less than the giant Ocarina of Time game that's coming out this year? We got jack squat for information about it. Just like Nintendo did not play their cards right at all. Like it baffles me. It almost feels like this is a joke. But April Fool's Day was like 2 months ago. It doesn't make any sense. You could fully convince me that even Saul Goodman himself can't defend Nintendo in their tomfoolery here. Now, with things like Nintendo Directs, PlayStation's State of Plays, Xbox's game showcases, recent years have proved time and time again not to expect too much. And you really shouldn't expect too much out of anything, but with this stuff in particular, never expect too much. But when you wait 9 months since the last Direct, and the last Direct was kind of booty too, there wasn't a lot in that Direct, for a new Switch console, like a new console that's not selling the best, like you expect at least some big stuff to come, and yet there was nothing. And I'm very interested to see like what Nintendo is going to do here, because it'll probably be till September till we get like any big news about future games. But even then, we waited 9 months for the last Direct. I wouldn't be surprised they'd make us wait till like next June, and then eventually there's just no more Directs and everything's just a little tweet they send out. So it's just super odd to me. And for a $1 billion company, it's I don't want to say unprofessional, but it's weird. Especially Nintendo last year was doing better than Xbox and maybe even PlayStation. Both those companies were making pretty bad decisions. Now Nintendo wasn't immune to bad decisions. They did make some bad decisions, but Xbox has been on a generational run. PlayStation, PlayStation's just right now. Nintendo, what are we doing? So in conclusion, it baffles me how this $1 billion company, Nintendo, can be more quiet than a mute person for the past 9 months. And then when they finally start talking, it could have been an email. No, I'm sorry. That's an insult to emails. It could have been word of mouth. It could have been, I write down a letter with all the information on it and then give it to one of Kai Cenat's owls and give it to my friend just so they can use it as a fire starter. That would have been more useful than this Direct. That's really all I have to say. I'm just completely baffled by this. Have a great rest of your day.